Hi everybody, Monsignor Ritchie once again, coming from St. Patrick's Cathedral here in New York City to many thousands of people out there in the ether and a few people who are in church right now. Before I get to the Q&A, I just would like to reflect a little bit about Holy Week that we just went through, how beautiful it was, how many people were able to come into church. We're still very careful about observing all of the protocols. So at this present time, we are allowed to have 50% of the seating capacity of the cathedral, as long as people are 6 feet apart. And we were able to do that all during Holy Week. Our capacity never went up to the 50%, and we were able to keep people in their seats 6 feet away from each other, except for the people who live in the same apartment or the same house who are family. Holy Thursday, Good Friday, Holy Saturday, and Easter Sunday, people were just wonderful. Big crowds that we had that were kept to the right numbers. But I know people were very, very appreciative of it. I've gotten so many comments from people who were so pleased with everything that happened at the cathedral, and they are observing in all sorts of places throughout the world, being with us and praying with us. People loved the flowers in the sanctuary. On Palm Sunday, we had a special array of flowers, of palms, in honor of one of our parishioners, Dr. Robert Rigolosi, and we were very happy to have them, and we're grateful to Doctor's wife, Elaine, who provided them for us. On Holy Thursday, His Eminence was able to celebrate the Mass in a grand fashion with a lot of good, beautiful music. And on Good Friday, we had the 7 words with Bishop Massa, who did a magnificent job. And then 3.5 hours later, the Cardinal began the Liturgy of the Lord's Passion and Death, and we ended the day with the Stations of the Cross, and there were good numbers of people involved virtually and actually on all of those celebrations. The Easter Vigil on Holy Saturday was different from usual because we didn't have the candles. One of the most beautiful sights of the year, for me anyway, is to see the entire cathedral filled with people and everybody holding a lit candle and having no lights on at all. And it's a great view. But this year, because of the COVID restrictions, we were not able to have candles for that, and the church was very, very dark, except for up here when the Cardinal was saying the prayers and leading the liturgy. But it was still a wonderful remembrance of the resurrection of Christ that we celebrate every year in the Holy Vigil. And we baptized 2 new Catholics and received 2 more other people into the Catholic Church. So it was a beautiful celebration. And then on Easter Sunday, our great celebration at 10 o'clock was filmed, and it was broadcast on television, in addition to the regular platforms that we had of live streaming from here, YouTube, and the Catholic Faith Network. And we had over 112,000 virtual parishioners viewing and praying with us. So it was a wonderful Holy Week. In spite of all of the sadness of the COVID crisis that we're going through, we were able, as good Catholic Christians, to celebrate the most important week of the year for us. So I'm very grateful, and to many people who donated money to help support St. Patrick's. I'm very grateful to everyone, and especially our technicians and those who have arranged all of the live streaming, our technician Roberto, and our Director of Development, Robert Meyer. So we had Roberto, we had Robert, and we have Bob right here. So it was a good week working together with everybody. So hopefully we're coming to the corner soon, and hopefully we'll have more people allowed to be with us. We have every intention to continue doing the live streaming even after COVID gets a little bit better. So on to the Q's and A's. So I'm asking this question. My first question is why some priests don't wear their cassock and some do. Father Andrew is one I see with his, and his cincture looks great. Monsignor Bob, I guess that's me, wore his twice since I came to St. Patrick's. Well, one of the things that probably this person hasn't seen, that every single time I come for the Rosary or for the Stations of the Cross, I wear my cassock. Usually on Sundays I wear my cassock because I baptize babies, and I always do that in a cassock. So I certainly use the cassock a lot more than he thinks I do. But the cassock is a part of the clerical vesture that is optional here in the United States. In many countries it's not, but here in America we do wear the cassock for liturgical services, but other than that, most priests do not wear the cassock. Some seminarians do, but I certainly have a cassock, and I wore it. If you saw me on Good Friday, you would have seen me in my cassock for this questioner here. So a priest can wear a cassock if he wants, or he could wear the clerical shirt that you see on me now, or he could wear a black suit with the clerical collar and what's called a rabbi in front of on his chest. So those are all areas of priestly vesture that are legitimate and are usually done by the priest. Cassocks in many countries are very much more present than they are here in America, but it's an option that we have whether we want it or not. Apparently, my friend here wants us to wear it more. But so that's the question from my friend. This is from San Francisco. This reflects back to last week's question about the different religious orders. So Jesuits, Franciscans, Redemptorists, Dominicans, and all of the others that we mentioned. And the other side of the usual priestly vocation would be secular or diocesan priests. So those are the two categories, secular or religious order. And so the question that he has this day, for the priests of religious orders, do the demands of the order preclude the demands of the diocese? For example, how do the Jesuits fulfill their obligation to the order and the diocese, and do these diocesan responsibilities differ from those of secular priests? Well, usually religious order priests have a specific mission that their order is dedicated to. So it could be high schools, it could be colleges, it could be hospitals, all sorts of specialties that religious orders are oriented to. So that they would have no obligation to the diocese except to observe the rules of the diocese that both priests and sisters and lay people are asked to obey or to take care of. So the obligations to the order is what religious priests have their main activity, or the main specialty is to do what the religious order says. And they are part of a diocese, but they're not under the same rules as diocesan priests. Okay. So this question comes from my friend from Spain. In my city, the priest blessed our palms with incense by walking throughout the main aisle. Was the use of blessed water forbidden? Well, I know that we here at St. Patrick's blessed the palm branches with water, and we also incense them too. So it could be both, but holy water is certainly, at least here in America, is perfectly legitimate even on Palm Sunday. May you explain to us the Chrism Mass, especially the blessing of the holy oils? I think we have another question about the oils. Every year, for centuries, the oils that would be used in the diocese would be blessed on Holy Thursday in the morning at the Diocesan Cathedral. That was the tradition for centuries. In recent years, after the Vatican Council, an addition was given to inserted into the Chrism Mass, and it was an invitation to the priests of the diocese to come and renew their priestly vows, and that would be done during the Chrism Mass. So if you watched the Chrism Mass, you heard the Cardinal asking all of the priests who were present basically to renew their vows as priests for the vows that they made when they were ordained. And each year at the Chrism Mass, though that indication or that inclusion is done on that day. Now, the Chrism Mass traditionally was on Thursday, Holy Thursday, and in many places, according to this person, it's in her diocese too, Holy Thursday morning. But what happened when the inclusion of this priestly renovation or restoration was included, at least here in the Archdiocese of New York, we said that let's transfer the Chrism Mass to a different day so more priests could be part of it, because on Holy Thursday the priests would be busy in their own parishes. So in New York, we have transferred the Chrism Mass every year to the Tuesday of Holy Week, and we put it in the afternoon so the priests can be free and come here to the cathedral. And so this year, in spite of COVID, we had 188 priests and 16 deacons. Normally we'd have over 200, but it was a very good number that we had for the Chrism Mass. When Palm Sunday overlaps another saint's feast day, may the saint's day be celebrated another Sunday. This would avoid overshadowing Palm Sunday. Well, the rules are that the Sundays of Lent, including Palm Sunday, are never overcome by any other celebration. They have to take place. So if a saint's feast day happens on a Sunday in Lent, the saint's feast day is not celebrated that year. The saint's memory will be recounted in the office of readings, but the feast will not be celebrated because the Lenten Sundays preclude that. Two opportunities, if the Feast of St. Joseph or the Feast of the Annunciation were to happen on a Sunday, they would be transferred to another day more convenient, because the Sundays preclude any other celebrations during Lent. Okay, the Divine Mercy devotion, that would be way too long to explain the whole thing, but it is a devotion brought to the Church by Saint Faustina, who was a Polish nun. We will celebrate the second Sunday of Easter, which is the Sunday coming up, as Divine Mercy Sunday. Here at the Cathedral, we have a temporary shrine to Divine Mercy that we put up during Holy Week, and it will go for till the week after Divine Mercy Sunday. It's a beautiful painting that Mrs. Florence Durso gave the Cathedral many years ago. Next question, may a Catholic man get married to a non-Catholic woman by the Catholic Church? Yes, if a Catholic wishes to marry someone who's not Catholic, the bishop of the diocese where the wedding is going to take place must give a dispensation to it. So the Catholic, as part of the dispensation, is asked to promise to do his or her best to raise children as Catholics. And then when the dispensation is given, then the Catholic can marry a non-Catholic. If it's not given, then the marriage would not be valid. I understand you mentioned the Bible with apocryphal books. Please, could you explain better this term? Okay, the word apocrypha, it comes from the Greek, it means hidden. There are certain parts of the Old Testament that when they were accepted as biblical, they were accepted in the Greek language and not in the Hebrew. So they were written in the Greek language, not in the Hebrew. So the Church many centuries ago accepted some of the hidden or apocrypha that were part of the Greek version of the Old Testament. The Hebrew Bible does not accept them, nor do Protestant Bibles accept them. So when you see a Bible that's given the blessing of the Catholic Church as an official version, you'll see the Bible with apocrypha, which means that those are the extra parts of the Old Testament, pretty much just the Old Testament, that have been accepted by the Church as canonical and as part of the Bible. Apocryphal Gospels, now that's a different term. Apocryphal Gospels, there are a number of documents that were written in the early days of the Church, purporting to be the different stories of the life of Jesus that were not part of the four accepted Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the accepted Gospels. And there are other Gospels that sometimes tell kind of magical stories about Jesus growing up and other things. And these apocryphal, or these Gospels, were not accepted as divinely inspired when the biblical canon was being put together by the church. So they are apocryphal. So it means that they were not accepted as divinely instituted, and they may be interesting to read or even to think about, but they're not part of what we consider to be the Bible. Okay. Next question. Yeah, it's a question that I thought very similar to when we were reading the Passion. So on Palm Sunday, the Passion is read. This year it was the Gospel of St. Mark, chapter 14 into 15. And it's a very beautiful remembrance of what Jesus went through and his arrest and his being brought to the cross. So the questioner asks, this is my friend from California. In this year's version of the Passion, there's a couple of lines at the time Jesus is arrested that speak about another young man wearing only a linen wrap being captured by the mob, by the guards. He manages to get away, dropping his garment and running off naked. It certainly is something that's a little curious in St. Mark's Gospel. So I looked for commentaries about it, and most of the commentaries said, well, there's no name to the person. They don't know much about him. One commentary said perhaps it is Mark himself that this happened to, but there's no indication of who that might have been other than that possible identification of Mark himself. Okay. And our questioner liked the reader on Palm Sunday. Thought he did a good job. Why isn't the Annunciation a holy day of obligation or a celebration? Well, in some countries it is. In America, it isn't. We have reduced the number of holy days down to 6, and in certain dioceses, the holy day is moved to a Sunday, which is always a holy day anyway. So the bishops of the United States did not choose the Annunciation as one of the holy days to be part of our American Catholic tradition a number of decades ago. So it is some places, but it's not in America. Why do we hit our chest during "Through my fault, my most grievous fault"? Where does it come from? I have seen they also do this in synagogue for atonement. And as you notice, when we do the Confiteor in the beginning of the church, we say, "Through my fault, through my fault, through my most grievous fault." Some people beat their chest one time, some do all 3 times. In the old liturgy before Vatican II, when it was in Latin, the tradition was it was always 3 times. But in the New English version of it, it indicates that the person should touch his heart or touch his chest as a symbol of atonement, of a symbol of asking for forgiveness for the person's sins. So that's why we do it. It's it's something that we received from our roots in Judaism. If you remember the story of the Pharisee and the tax collector in the temple, the 2 of them went up to pray. The Pharisee stood up in front of everybody and prayed to God and said, "I'm so much better than any of these people. I fast and I tithe and I do all sorts of wonderful things." And the tax collector is in a corner by himself, kind of hiding his face, beating his chest and asking for God to forgive him because he's a sinner. And so Jesus says, who do you think went home blessed that day, the Pharisee or the tax collector? And basically the answer was the person who was beating his breast and acknowledging his sinfulness and his need for atonement. So that's why we do it. It's a carryover from our Jewish roots. This is our friend from Tucson. First, could you address Father when you mention all the priests when Cardinal Dolan has Mass? You mention all the priests, but not Father Stephen Reese. Usually, when the Cardinal has the Mass, we just say the Cardinal. Why don't mention the other priests? Sometimes the Cardinal mentions them, but Father Stephen Reese is the Cardinal Secretary. During Sunday Mass, he usually serves as the Cardinal's Master of Ceremonies, so he doesn't wear the vestments because he's not concelebrating. During weekday Mass, he usually concelebrates with whatever priest is also there with him. I'm usually there too. So Father Stephen Reese is part of the Cardinal's staff, and he's been there for a while, and he'll be there for 5 years altogether. Okay. How long will Father Reese be with the Cardinal Dolan? I'm sorry, I didn't see that one. The Cardinal's practice has been he will ask one of the priests of the Archdiocese to be his secretary for a term of 5 years. And usually he says 5 years is enough for any young priest. So Father Jim Cruz was his first secretary. Father James Ferreira was his second secretary. And Father Stephen Reese is his third secretary. And they all will serve for 5 years. And this person is very impressed by Father Reese, Father Stephen, and how well he assists the Cardinal and takes care of all of the things that have to be taken care of. Well, I think everybody thinks Father Stephen is doing a wonderful job, so I'm glad Tucson notices that. Okay, this is another question about the Chrism Mass. In this person's diocese in Pittsburgh, it's always celebrated early in the day on Holy Thursday. That's the tradition, and it has been that way for centuries. In recent years, with the new liturgy, some dioceses have opted to move it so that more priests can come. So in New York, we move it to the Tuesday of Holy Week. In Pittsburgh, they still have it on Holy Thursday. And the next question, we saw the picture of you making soda bread. Looked like you were having a wonderful time. Can you share your recipe, or is that a family secret? Each year, I have the tradition of making Irish soda bread. I have a recipe from my mother, and she used to make it every year. And in recent years, since I came down here, I've been able to make a good number. I make around 10 of them and send them to friends and to the Cardinal and to other people that know all about it. I will talk to our people who handle the website, and I'll see if I can get my mother's recipe put on the website for anybody to make it. When I was at Our Lady of Angels, I published my mother's recipe, and we had a contest to see who would make the best Irish soda bread. And I had 4 judges, and we had about 10 entries, one of which was mine, but I didn't win. Somebody else won. But that person used my mother's recipe and just, I guess, made it better than I did. So, but it's delicious, and if you see it and you'd like to try it, let me know how it turns out for you. Okay. Again, coming back, this is a California question. Getting back to the Chrism Mass, what kind of oil is used in holy oils? Are all 3 the same, and is it a universal standard throughout the Church? That second part, I don't know. I think the traditional oil that's used is olive oil. Now, in some cultures, maybe that's not true, but I'm not sure of that. But here in America, it's always olive oil. All 3 oils, the oil of the sick, the oil of catechumens, and sacred chrism, all 3 of them, the basis is olive oil that's blessed on Holy Thursday or at the Mass of the Chrism. The oil of the catechumens and the oil of the sick are basically the same oil. The sacred chrism is, once again, the same oil, but there's an infusion of balm, a very sweet and fragrant perfume added to it to give it a different consistency and to make it very special. So the sweet perfume is called balm, and it is added to the olive oil for the sacred chrism. Do the 3 vats that the Cardinal consecrates at the annual Chrism Mass contain enough to distribute a year's supply to all the parishes? Well, obviously, we have over 300 parishes, so obviously that's not enough. The vats that are used are symbolic, and we use that oil here at St. Patrick's. But underneath the table, as the oils are blessed, there are packages of oils or little bottles of oils that are distributed to the parishes of the Archdiocese after the Mass is over. Okay. Next question. We were hoping that you could tell who all of the additional priests who were participating. Well, again, at St. Patrick's Cathedral, during normal times, we would have a lot of visiting priests that would come celebrate and be with us. But obviously during COVID, that doesn't happen so much. But during Holy Week, we had a number of priests that were friends of the Cardinals. One priest that's in charge of the tribunal of the Archdiocese, they were concelebrants. The staff of the cathedral will always be here, but there are other people that just show up, and their names aren't mentioned because it just happened at the spur of the moment. So the extra priests that you saw during Holy Week were not part of the cathedral staff. They were visitors or priests that serve in other parts of the Archdiocese. So that's enough. That's all we have time for today. We have 2 more pages of questions, which I'll come to next week. So thank you very much. Continue to pray with us, whether you're here or there or far away. You are part of St. Patrick's Parish, St. Patrick's Cathedral Parish, and we're very happy that you're part of our virtual and actual parish. And so I'll ask God's blessing on everybody. May Almighty God bless everybody who is part of our parish. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. I'm now going to prepare for Mass and celebrate it here at noon. Thank you.